What's up, Gamer community, and welcome back to another segment of Gamers Said, where the dust is kind of settling on the Switch 2's launch, but it's still one of the hottest talking points in gaming right now. So this week, we want to talk specifically to those who haven't bought a Switch 2 yet, because what we want to know is, if you're still on the fence about whether or not to buy a Switch 2, what game release would motivate you to buy one? So let's find out what you have to say. Alright, we're going to start with the first cab off the rank, and that's Happy Rodent, who said, new games. I had a Switch 2 loaded and ready in my cart, but when I looked at the selection of games, forget it. Mario Kart is not a console launch A-lister Nintendo thinks it is. I don't care for racing games or multiplayer. Give me a new 3D Mario World, Luigi's Mansion, Zelda or Metroid day one, and you got a deal. I'll wait till after the holidays or maybe next summer before I pull the trigger. Probably one of the gripes that most people had when it came to the Switch 2 launch was that it just felt like it lacked when it came to new games. Of course, Mario Kart World is a massive game. It's a massive franchise, and it's got one of Nintendo's biggest mascots front and center. And it's exactly the sort of game you want to play with your friends and family. But when it came to single player games, there wasn't really a whole lot of new product. And I think Nintendo was kind of leaning quite heavily on the fact that they have all these third-party releases in much higher quality. The Hogwarts Legacies, the Cyberpunk 2077s, all of those. They're kind of relying on that and the nostalgia value of bringing GameCube to Switch 2. But when it came to like original IPs, new ones, we didn't see a whole lot. Of course, we've got a few down the line. Donkey Kong's newest one is coming up very soon. And then of course, Metroid, which you did mention there. So hold off until Metroid and probably keep this rodent happy, I'd say. Next up, Cole, you had a pretty interesting one. Probably a new Super Smash Bros. Game would get you into it. That's a pretty good pick. I mean, it's been surprisingly long since we've had a Smash last come out. I think the last one was in 2018, which still to me feels like it was 2 years ago, but it was basically 7 years ago now. So I guess it kind of depends on the direction Nintendo want to go when it comes to multiplayer releases. I mean, they had Mario Party Jamboree only came out, what was that, last year? And of course, Mario Kart World was their launch title. So if they're going to continue to go down the path of multiplayer games, then perhaps Super Smash is probably on the agenda. I certainly don't think it's a far-fetched dream to have. Maybe it's already in development and they just haven't said anything, but I could definitely see that being a Switch 2 game for sure. Uniquitous said a new Metroid would probably do it. Well, my friend, you're going to get your wish. Metroid Prime 4 is going to be coming out this year. There's no concrete date set just yet at the time of recording this. Save your pennies, because if you're looking to buy a Switch 2 with a Metroid game, then that's exactly what you're going to get. Metroid is very much on the horizon, and it will be this year. So within the next 6 months, unless it gets delayed, but it doesn't seem likely. It looks like it's a pretty complete product as it stands. So you will definitely get that, 100%. Oh, I like this one. Zefifi, you said Nintendogs, just like the original, or a new Animal Crossing or new Super Mario Galaxy are the only games that could lure me. A new Animal Crossing, I think there's certainly a fan base for Animal Crossing, and there's certainly a demand for Animal Crossing, so I definitely don't think that one's a pipe dream, but Nintendogs is one hell of a throwback. A game is now 20 years old, and God, I remember I didn't even have a Nintendo DS, but I knew what a big deal Nintendogs was, and I played it a bit on some of my friends' consoles when they used to bring it to school. But man, what a throwback. The nostalgia value of something like Nintendogs, I think, could go a long way, and especially if they really amped up the tech and sort of made it more realistic and more interactive. I think they've got the technology for the Switch 2 that they could certainly make a really fun Nintendogs game. So I didn't know I needed it until now, but I'd love to see a Nintendogs game on Switch 2. I think that's an absolute banger of an option. So well played. Last one will be Mark. You're not the only one who mentioned it, but you've got quite a bit to say here, but you already got a Switch 2 and thought that Mario Kart was not the best. You did mention Fantasy Life, The Girl Who Steals Time, but what I want to sort of draw attention to is the seller for me is the new Pokémon game coming out in October. Later down the road, a new Zelda will be well worth it. And then of course, yeah, you've got Splatoon and Donkey Kong. You don't think are enough to make the jump. I'm interested to see how Donkey Kong goes, but I want to focus on Pokemon because you're not the only one who said Pokemon. Obviously, that is a massive franchise, and it's a game that's been around for a long time, but I think what we also noticed in some of the other threads that we've done previously, a talking point has been that Pokemon feels like it's recycling quite a lot. So I'm really interested to see the performance of the game, not just as far as sales are concerned, but also the reception of it, both from critics and of course from the gaming community, because people feel so passionately about Pokemon that if they don't do something different enough, or if it doesn't perform well enough, I'd be a little concerned to see like how the franchise continues. I certainly don't think that would ever ever cut it off, because Pokemon is immortal in the gaming space and the anime space and the trading card space. But when it comes to how many people are going to sort of stick around, if this one doesn't perform well, I think it could be some sort of rough waters for a little while. So it's one game in particular I'm really curious to see how it goes, and really curious to see the overall reception, because as I said, a lot of people are sort of feel like it's not doing enough differently. The upcoming one in October seems like there is enough difference there that's going to give some fresh looks, some fresh perspectives outside of course, having just new Pokemon. So I'm crossing my fingers it does well, and I really hope it does, and I hope it's worth buying a Switch 2 for, because I think a lot of people will be waiting until October so that they can get the Switch and get Pokemon Z to A. But alas, you got me monologuing. Thank you so much for taking part in this conversation, and I mean, it's still going. So by all means, if you're on the fence about Switch 2, let me know what title would get you over the line and get you a Switch 2. Maybe we'll make a follow-up video one day. I mean, it's been a pretty hot topic, so pop it in the comments below or jump on the thread. Speaking of threads, you can submit some others as well. It doesn't matter what you have an opinion about. Your favorite games, your favorite consoles, your least favorite games, your least favorite consoles. It doesn't matter what it is. Feel free to submit a thread to us at GameRant.com, because I love reading them, publishing them, and then I love coming back here every week and talking about them. So hopefully we can talk about your thread in the near future. But until then, hope you guys have a great week, and I hope you enjoy very many games, and we'll see you around on GameRant.com. Catch you later.